Hello, everybody, and welcome to the zoo. I'm the Rusty Panda, and I am here for you. Today we've got Elder Gamesman. Womp, womp, womp,
Hello. Ooh,
womp.
hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate being here.
absolutely. I'm so happy to have you. For any of you who don't know, Elder Gazeman and I go way, way back to the Mixer days. Rip.
I know. Oh,
But we've been friends for a long time, and so this interview should be super fun, super chill.
yeah.
And we
Looking forward
definitely
to it.
want you guys to enjoy. So, the first thing that I have going on over here is video game.
Yes.
So we'll start kind of at the core and then work our
Right.
way out.
Okay.
Okay, video games and such. When did you first start playing video games?
All right. So this is gonna give away a few things, and I don't know if anybody actually hears them. Like, so in my community, or with all the people we chill with and regulars on my stream, we kind of it's at a meme at this point where they don't really know how old I am,
Okay.
and say that I'm like 60 something, and no one can quite figure out if I'm lying or not. And they're like, "Oh, you don't look that old," but I'm like, the Asian people don't really look old. Uh, so this is gonna give it away a little bit, maybe.
Okay.
I started back in the '80s when I was a kid. Um, my brothers, I had two older brothers, and they were big into gaming, even before I was around. So they started off with the Atari and the Commodore 64.
Okay.
And by the time I kind of got old enough, we had a Sega Master System,
Okay.
and we were kind of like the not cool kids because we didn't have a Nintendo. Dealt with having the Commodore 64 and the Sega Master System for a very long time until towards the end of the Nintendo's lifespan. And that's when my dad finally got us one.
Oh yeah.
IGG.
Hi,
So
Gigi.
I mean that is mid to late 90s maybe.
Okay.
So that's about when I got started,
So
and I've
what
been
is
gaming ever
your
since.
first system? Like you went ahead and like bought it yourself. What is your system?
My first system, I actually remember it very well, was the OG Xbox, the original one.
Okay.
And I
So
actually
that's
remember I was
Xbox
yeah.
console, right?
Hi
Like it would
Sonia.
be
Yes. There
okay.
we go, the big honker.
Yeah.
Remember, I was a freshman in college. Again, I'm giving away my age.
It's
Um,
okay.
no, so I was a freshman in college, right?
Uh-huh.
And I used to be big into paintball, and at the time I was in college. I was like, I haven't been really been playing paintball much lately, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna sell it. So I eventually got the check back for selling my paintball gun. It was I forget, it, I don't know. I was trying to remember what kind of paintball gun, but whatever. I got like $300 for it, $350 for it.
Nice.
So me and my roommate, my freshman year roommate, we went cashed a check, and then I'm like, holy, this is the most money I've ever held in my hand at any given point in time as a kid, right? It was $350. I
Right.
was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So he's like, dude, you have enough money to buy an Xbox. And I was like, holy crap, I do. So we went right to the mall. I picked up an Xbox, and that was the first system I ever bought with my own money, the OG Xbox.
So let's
Those were good
see.
times.
It canceled on market in 2001, North America,
Yeah.
Australia by Japan in 2002. So yeah, it was announced in 2000 with the release of PlayStation 2 at the same time. So we've
Right.
got the clash that happened between the two of them. But the fact that this was using personal computer components, variations of Microsoft Windows, and fee-based online gaming service, which was incredible. Xbox Live coming to
Right.
play was huge.
Well, I remember when we first got it, though, Xbox Live wasn't a thing yet.
Okay.
But again, I didn't know about. I'm still not very tech savvy, but there was a way to hook up the OG Xbox to a hub to your computer to the internet. So without there being Xbox Live, one of my college friends found a way to hook it all up online. So we were legit playing the OG Halo.
Yes.
Like, it was because you I guess it was like a workaround to do a system link. They used to be
Okay.
able to system link at least. So we were still playing online, but it was like, the system thought it was just they were right there connected. So we were
Right.
playing 4v4 against other college students. And I remember that was like the craziest thing in the world, just being able to do that. It was awesome.
That's awesome. Thank you for the lurk, Chad. So yeah, so the fact that you could do, let's see, first, so you had Halo, right? You were telling me about the
Yes.
Halo games.
Yes.
Um, Thank you for the follow, Chad. So the first Halo games came out, and then we've got the Xbox 360 that came out
Oh
immediately
yes.
after, right? So let's start with
I
Xbox
mean, that took.
console. So we've got
Trying to remember when
Halo,
that came out. I want to say like late 2000, the late aughts is when the 360 came out.
right? So let's see, Halo Combat Evolved is what it's saying. Is the
Yeah, so that was
first
the first
one,
one. Yep.
right? And
And
okay,
that just blew my
2001.
mind.
Yeah, why's that?
It was just, I mean, again, you got these cool next gen graphics. Although we did have a Sega Dreamcast, which often gets overlooked. It came out just before that wave of like the PS2
Right.
and the Xbox, and it quickly got squashed.
It did.
But the Dreamcast was a very, very underrated system. And so we did have that as well. And I actually remember one of our friends used to keep it again at college, used to keep one. I don't know how it did get stolen, but like in the floor common room,
Right.
and we would have like these video game tournaments all huddled in. Somebody would bring like the George Foreman grill up some wings, and we would have virtua tennis tournaments of all games in
Virtual
college. We would
tennis.
all gather in for virtua tennis tournaments, and again, those graphics I think were the first ones to really kind of like blow my mind. But then obviously Xbox and PlayStation 2 kind of took it up a little bit more.
Right. So we had a similar thing where we had the OG Counter Strike on a memory
Bro, that is actually
stick
awesome.
and passed it around on the school computers and had 36 player matches. That's insane.
Yeah,
That's
that's
insane.
actually I started a little bit of PC playing my freshman year of college too, because we were all blown away by having T1 internet lines, I believe it was.
Okay.
Which was like a gazillion times faster than dial up at the time. So we used to play OG Counter Strike, Day of Defeat, Half Life 2. So Pro just bring up Counter Strike. I was like, oh man, those were my first tastes of PC gaming online.
All right, so Half-Life 2, first-person shooter. So I'm getting that you like first-person shooters and that sort
I
of
mean, I definitely
community
used to
play.
more. I don't play them as much, but for sure they were kind of like my earlier favorite online games.
Right, and I feel like in order to have a multiplayer game, it had to be a first-person shooter. Do you think that that's the case?
I guess yeah, back then, now that I think about it, you really only saw I don't think sports games were really online yet.
Mm-hmm.
So other than that, the only thing you really could do competitively I can think of would be first person shooters.
Right,
Because I mean, back then you still had couch co-op. People actually still got together
right.
and did couch co-op. So I don't think there was online co-op much back then. And
Now, FIFA and PES were if you had an Ethernet. Okay,
there you go. Okay.
yeah. So Half-Life, what did you love about this game?
Honestly, I've never actually played the actual Half-Life 2.
Okay.
It was actually was it even Half-Life 2? It wasn't even Half-Life 2 at the time, it was Half-Life. Uh we played it just to grab the mods. Because before Counter-Strike wasn't a standalone game, Day of Defeat wasn't a standalone. These were all Half-Life mods.
Right.
So I just picked up the game so that we could download all these mods and play those. So and really it was just other people getting me into it. I
Yeah.
wasn't never huge into it, but people, yo, come on, join us. We're gonna after class, we're gonna hop online. I'm like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, holy crap, this is awesome.
That's amazing. So okay, so the it was published by Valve through its distribution through Steam. So
Yeah, I
Steam
remember
came
when
out in
first
2003.
I remember that that actually caused a little stir. People were like, "What the hell is this thing? Why do we need this to do?" Because it used to be part of like the anti-cheating, I think. And then obviously it's meant to be a good thing, but a lot of us were like, "What the hell is just something extra we gotta download and do and stuff?"
Thank you
But
for
man,
the
I remember
rage
that.
strikeout and no problems, but thank you for the lurk. Welcome on in, everybody. This is Wiki Wednesday
Hi,
here with the
everybody.
Elder Gamesman, and we'll be talking about things to going down the Wikipedia rabbit hole and talking about fun stuff. So definitely stick around.
Hey, Galvos.
Yes, hi Galvos. Thank you for being my mod today. Okay, so Steam came out and that was like a really really big deal.
Oh yeah. I again, I don't really quite remember why it was such a big deal. I it was really just the slightest of inconveniences. I don't get why it was kind of a big deal, but I don't know. It was a stir, but obviously it quickly got, we got over it.
Yeah, yeah. I
Because now
mean,
it's this big, huge thing now. So
yeah. And hey, Defiled. I love you. And okay, so this talking about announcement and beta release, official release in 2003, Steam Workshop in 2011, family sharing and Steam Early Access in 2013, Steam Link in 2015, Steam TV in 2018, Remote Play in 2019, Cloud, and then the
see,
Steam Deck.
I actually missed a lot of this because while I did start doing some PC gaming early aughts, like when I got back home, I didn't really. I've always been primarily a console player, so a lot of the Steam stuff, like I didn't really know much about until I maybe like last year
Okay.
I started getting more into PC gaming
Okay.
and all that stuff. I ended up getting a Steam Deck, and,
Okay.
that kind of was brought me back into the PC gaming.
Yeah, so this is a Steam Deck for anyone who doesn't know. My friend
Yes,
Derek absolutely loves his Steam Deck. And
agreed.
so thank you for the follow. So basically, the Steam Deck is the handheld version of Steam. So doesn't it like basically just cloud between the two of them, right?
No, it's in itself a computer. Basically, it's basically a little handheld computer. I've seen people like again. I'm not technically knowledgeable, so I don't know how to do these things. But I've seen on the subreddit for the Steam Deck, people are legit just turning this into their like everyday laptop.
Wow.
Like you get a couple of Bluetooth, keyboard, a mouse. It has a USB C output, but you can convert
Yeah,
that to
convert it.
HDMI, and then it goes right to a monitor, and it's one of the most portable little laptops. I mean, I guess laptops are portable in and of itself, but
Right, right.
I think maybe people are just doing it more to show off or show that they can do it. But yeah, it in and of itself is a computer. You can
Wow.
install Windows 11 onto it. Um,
So it's a
People have found ways to install like BattleNet and what are the some of these other third-party launchers, so it's
right.
not just Steam. That part I haven't really gotten around. Yeah, it
Linux-based
is Linux based,
computer.
exactly.
Okay. And hi, Jay Plays. Thank you for coming in.
I mean,
Um,
don't get me wrong. Like Pro Student says, it's definitely a luxury.
yeah.
If there are definitely better ways if you actually need some sort of computer type thing. I would even say get Microsoft Surface Pro. Those like part tablet, part laptops. That was how I first started stream, was on a Surface Pro 4.
Okay.
And it's not even like it's basically again a half tablet, half computer.
Hmm.
And I remember when I tried to stream off of it, even if it was plugged in, it didn't charge fast enough for the power consumption of streaming.
Wow.
So I literally could only stream about 2.5 hours at max, and then I was done. The whole thing would just conk out, and that was it. So my streams were basically an hour and a half to 2 hours on that thing. But we
Yeah.
made it work.
Yeah, 2013 is when this came out. So, um, that's a it's so weird. That's 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh, that is. Was it the one with the? It was not that one, Pro. It wasn't a hinge, but it was just like a bar with a little magnetic strip thing, and you popped it on the back of
Yeah,
the
and I
Surface.
remember the one with the 180 hinge because my doctors would use it. They would
Oh
go
yeah,
ahead and
okay.
the doctors would have it and they would go ahead and twist it. And even some of my teachers had it. And I was obsessed. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have this item. I never got
Yeah,
this item, but I really wanted it
like
because of that hinge.
right. It has so I think that's the Surface laptop. The Surface Pro was more of a like just a tablet. You could buy the attachable keyboard,
Hmm.
but in and of itself, you bought it, you took it out, and it was just a tablet.
Okay.
But then again, if you connect the keyboard, then it was a half laptop.
Right.
Maybe not full, but half.
Right.
But it ran pretty well, And I used to use it for meetings and stuff to take notes, and people would be like, "Huh." They
Yeah.
would always be like, "All right, that's interesting,"
That guy
people
knows what
coming in with
he's
this big
doing.
briefcase.
Yeah, yeah, that guy knows what he's doing. He's
Yeah.
savvy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just got this little thin thing in my hand. It's all good. I got everything.
Now that's pre iPad, or is it same
No,
time
no,
as an iPad?
it was after the. I mean, the iPad had started it all off. This was around. This was pre iPad Pro.
Okay.
So this, I think, this is what actually like the popularity of the Surface is what made iPad think, oh, maybe we should do the iPad Pro.
Okay, yeah. So iPad came influential inventions of 2010.
Yeah, so the
So
original iPad, yeah, back in the day.
right. So if the Surface Pro came out in 2013, then yeah, I feel like it's trying to
Man,
be
it's
the
so weird. These all these things seem so much longer ago.
yeah,
And yet,
yeah.
well, I mean, it is long, but it's only like 10, 13
10
years ago. My
years,
gosh,
yeah. And it's
time
been a
flies.
huge part of our life. Like it's
Yeah,
that's huge. Do you use Apple products or are you an Android?
I'm an Android person. I
Okay.
am pretty much an Android person.
Now that's good to know
I
that
have
you're half robot since you're telling me now that you're an Android person.
I have no qualms with Apple stuff. I mean, again, that well, you can't right there, but that's an iPad, an old
Right,
iPad.
right.
We have them around the house. My wife's Game's wife is an Apple person,
Okay.
but I don't know. I just like the
Okay.
versatility of Android a little bit more, and you
Yeah.
don't have to buy special cables.
Right. Yeah, I feel like for people who like computers and gaming and having their own specialized um, computers or whatever, Android is the way to go. For people who just want simplistic things to like just tell you what to do and you can get it done the way that's Apple. And that's how I feel.
Like they're
My grandma uses an iPhone.
my parents, they
Right.
have iPhones. Yeah.
It's intuitive and sometimes an Android like I
Yes.
got an Android, I got I don't know, it was pre BlackBerry, but I got it and I was
Oh
like,
my
I
gosh.
absolutely hate this thing. I'm getting a BlackBerry. And so I did
Wow.
get a
BlackBerry is
BlackBerry.
throwing it back with BlackBerry. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first thing in college. And then after the BlackBerry, I got my first I it wasn't an iPad, it was like it was an iPod Touch.
Okay.
So it's
All
not
right.
an iPad and it's not an iPhone. It was an iPhone. It was an
I
iPad.
remember
I
those.
think
I
Touch. Yeah.
remember.
USB type is changing every few years. I mean, it seems like a few years ago we were at USB Mini and
No,
now we
that
have
is true.
USB C.
But the thing though is that now, but they come with everything. Like you buy a new product, it comes with a cord. But then at least you can use that cord with other different types of products.
Right. And so
That's the plus about just having that universal USB, cord type.
yeah, and so right now we're talking for anyone who's not totally computer savvy or might not understand. There's USB, which is like the thumb drive that you plug into your computer, and then there's USB C, which is usually used for like it says electronical cables, connectors, audio, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to claim to know everything about USB C. That would be my husband, Galvos. But I do know that that ProTune makes sense. That I'm pretty sure Apple have USB C
Do
iPads,
that.
but not
So I've
anything
heard in
else.
in Europe, wasn't there some sort of ruling somewhere where they said iPad isn't allowed to use proprietary cables anymore? So I think
Wow,
they were trying to change it so that they, at least for this, for specifically for a certain country or area, so that they were making them with USB C.
wow, your iPhone is USB C.
Is it really?
Wow,
Huh. May I ask where you are, Strikeout? I'm so
he's on the East
I'm-
Coast.
how do you have an iPhone with a USB C? I've never seen that, at least in the US.
They're moving everything to
Oh,
USB
it's in
C.
general. Okay.
iPhone
Yeah,
14
my
Pro.
so my games wife has the Pro. Like so the part that goes into the iPhone is still the Apple piece. The other end, yeah, is USB-C, but we're talking about like the piece that actually goes into the phone. I don't know if that's the gesture to be using on stream.
You
You know
used
what I
it
mean?
though, so
So Strikeout, is that what you mean? You mean the part that plugs into the charger? Yes, that's now used. But what I was talking about with the other countries is that they're actually talking about the part that plugs into the phone becoming USB-C. Yeah, there you go. Right, USB-C to Lightning. So I've heard that they're trying to get away with Lightning, um, and just having USB-C to USB. There you go. Well, what? I've never seen that. Even my wife has the 14 Pro too, or maybe it's just the 14.
right,
I did not know that. I didn't
so
know that that was already coming out.
I'm trying to look. Haptic touch, 64-bit
Wow. I didn't know that was
connector,
finally a
eight
thing. Good
eight
for them.
pin lightning connector for both the iPhone Pro Max and the iPhone Pro. But that's awesome. I guess that's just an option, and that's a really sweet
Yeah, good for
option.
them. Good
Yeah,
for
yeah,
them that
yeah.
they're starting to do that.
Mhm. I completely agree. We learned something. Wait, I lied. That was my
Oh.
work phone. See, that's why I was very confused. What was your
Just
work
the fact that you
phone?
still have an iPhone with
Okay.
a USB-C end is still kind of cool.
Yeah, I completely agree. I would think it was a special
Yo,
phone.
you can confuse all sorts of people with that. They'll be like, "What the hell?"
Special iPhone to allow me to load apps. Okay, that makes sense.
Ah, okay.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay,
Oh,
so we've gone into phones here. We were talking about, let's go back to kind of streaming for a minute. So we
all
were
right.
talking about, off stream, how long you've been streaming. So why don't you go ahead and say
Yes.
about that?
Yeah. So I would say it's hard for me to remember now. I want to say about 5 years ago, and it was thanks to a mutual friend, Bullets, that we know,
Yeah.
or now Snarky
Snarky
Shark.
Shark.
But so in general, I was never a big like into like I guess at the time it was just in TV, which eventually turned to Twitch, obviously, or watching people. I used to be one of those people that thought, why would you want to watch somebody play video games? But
Right.
like I've always been an Xbox person, a Microsoft person, and so when I first heard about Microsoft doing Beam, a rival for Twitch, I was like, yo, let me check out Beam. And I remember being at work and just hopping on. I'm like, yo, this is kind of cool. And I'm meeting all sorts of different people and everything like that. And then it was one day where I was looking, when it finally turned to Mixer, I was looking for Monster Hunter World streams because that was currently my game of choice.
Okay.
And at one point, I saw Bullet streaming again. Now Snarky
Snarky
Shark,
Shark. Mm-hmm.
and we got friendly, and then we started, playing together on his streams with the crew like Bacon Jesus and
Yeah.
Elliot Edwards and all those awesome people. And
Yeah.
then at one point I was like, kind of want to try this out. It's kind of cool. And then Snarky actually helped me set up my streams in the first place. He set up my commands and he set all sorts of stuff up for me, got me going. And that's when I started at Monster Hunter World, thanks to Snarky.
Oh my
That's how I
gosh.
started streaming all those years.
That's
But
great.
I never took it like super, super seriously until I did Mixer, and then another stream platform came out called DLive.tv.
Right.
And I heard a bunch of people that I knew kind of like testing it out, trying it out. A few of the Mixer partners were checking it out. So like, let me see what's going on there. So I hopped on D Live. Oh God, D Live, yes.
Yeah.
And I actually started multi-streaming to Mixer and D Live, and I actually got partnered over there. Granted, the partnership, you know, requirements were very different from Mixer because they were so small. But I ended up becoming a partner, and it was actually, I mean, at the time, it was very, very cool. And again, streaming shouldn't be about the money, but I actually made some decent money. I was able to buy like a new laptop
Wow.
through funds that I got from D Live, things like that. It was really, really cool community. And I mean, it just at one point it just died. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, not suddenly. It started going downhill, but at one point, like PewDiePie, it was his official stream platform.
Right.
So a lot of people started flocking there. And then I can't pinpoint when it happened, but all of a sudden it got bad. I think they were late on their payments to the partners, things like that.
Yeah.
And now it's just this like a lot of the gambling slot streamers that left Twitch. Some of them are on D Live. It's political extremists
Yeah.
on D Live. I think they were kind of notorious because somebody that was at the January 6th insurrection
Mm-hmm.
was live streaming onto D Live at the
Oh
time.
my god.
And then I guess like D Live got actually were like involved in some like the court documents and stuff like that, and they had to do all sorts of stuff. And I don't know. I mean, there are still some really cool people. I met so many awesome people, and there are still a handful, but right now it's just a mess.
Yeah, it's due to the
It's a
site's
mess.
lax enforcements of prohibited guidelines. DLive
Yeah.
has become popular alternative to YouTube and Twitch among white nationalists, conspiracy theorists,
Yep.
neo Nazis,
Yep.
and other extremists.
Like it's not until maybe nowadays if you go down to like again the viewer population isn't very large, but maybe like the 12th to 20th stream you'll finally come across somebody playing a video game as opposed to somebody spewing some sort of wackadoo theories and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So that's crazy that you made a lot of money. He's gonna move to
Yeah, I
Kick
mean,
because he's
and
gonna be
I
successful as
wasn't
cover.
like compared. There were some people who were doing really, really well. I did okay-ish, but man, it was early on. It was a really, really nice place to make a little quick cash.
Yeah, I went to D Live for like 25 seconds and then I was like, I'm gonna go back to Mixer.
I
Because I
get
didn't
it.
know how
I
to
get it.
dual stream. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll try this. And that's the same time that Gilded came out. And so we were
Oh
using
yeah.
Gilded instead of Discord. And then
Okay.
that died. And so then it just became Twitch and Discord. That's just kind of how it
Right.
came
As
together.
Pro2 mentions Kick, and I gotta admit, I am kind of curious to check it out. But I don't know. It's weird over there.
Yeah,
It's really
that's
weird.
the
But
one that
I've
does the
seen.
slots and neo Nazis as well, right? Like that's
Well,
the
I don't know about neo-Nazi. There's definitely slots over on
okay.
Kick because I think the backing company is like an online gambling site.
Okay.
So slots is very big, but I mean, so definitely early on where they weren't quite like they were very very early in the beginning, and there really wasn't much of a toss or anything like that. So it was like the Wild West. Like I think people were even like streaming porn.
Oh
They're doing
God.
whatever. They people say they've gotten better now, and I have yet to see anything that drastic. But you will see like a lot of the stuff you would see on like the hot tub section on Twitch
Right.
would be very prominent on Kick, and then maybe kicked up just a tad to be a little more risque, but not quite like there.
Right.
But which they say is part like still against their terms of service, but
They do
I don't
it
know, they're still
anyway.
there.
Right. It's
And
what's the other one that came out? The OnlyFans, right? It was like mainly
oh yeah,
porn, and then it was like you
it's
can't do
it started
porn.
off as not though.
Okay.
I guess it was supposed to be like a side hustle, kind of just like like a side like thing like Kofi or something like that, just so you
Yeah.
can. But now it's like okay, OnlyFans.
Right.
Not to say that there's anything wrong with OnlyFans or anybody that does it.
Primarily used by sex workers who produce pornography,
Yes,
but it also hosts work of content creators like such as physical fitness expert
right.
and musicians. So yeah,
Hey, if you can make the cash, however you can, go for it.
right. Go for it. Yeah.
As long as you're
Um,
not doing anything illegal, you do your thing.
exactly. Okay, so we talked about the systems that you use, and then you mentioned Monster Hunter, and so let's go into that because
Yes.
I know you could talk about that forever. And that's okay because that's why we're here. So,
Right.
tell me about first of all what Monster Hunter means to you, how you got into it, etc., etc.
So I mean, Monster Hunter has started like I mean back in the I guess looking at your page right there, like PlayStation 2, I guess was the first time. But I never played it. Again, I've been primarily an Xbox user, and so I've heard of people playing Monster Hunter on PlayStations or like the Nintendo portable systems they came out on as well. I even remember thinking, oh, is it like one of those Pokemon type games where you kind of like go around catch monsters, whatever.
Right.
And then Monster Hunter World was announced for Xbox, and I was like, "Oh, let me finally try it out. I finally get a chance to check out what all the hubbub was about with Monster Hunter." And it is definitely not like Pokemon. And
Spoiler alert.
B, yes, and B, it was just I just fell in love with it. From all the different weapons you can use to the designs of the monsters to the scenery. And again, like Monster Hunter World was kind of like a very big step up, I would think, from the previous games.
Let's see
Just in terms of
what's world.
scope and graphics and kind of and I mean even just in terms of distribution, because that was the first one to be on both the PlayStation and Xbox and PC.
Right.
Again, they were all either Nintendo or a Sony console. So Monster Hunter World, I think, is the pinnacle in general. I believe it's Capcom's number one selling game in all of its history, and Capcom has a lot of big brands under their umbrella, like Resident Evil or Street Fighter or Mega Man. And I believe maybe it's not anymore, but at one point it was the number one best selling video game ever. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and it's fabulous. Then now they got Rise,
Right.
which I've been super into, and again, that's gonna hold a special place in my heart because when I was streaming that a lot, I applied for becoming a Capcom creator, a Capcom partner,
Right.
and I actually got in. I never would have thought because I'm not like a big
Wow.
streamer. I don't have a high CCV,
Right.
but I was
Right.
like, you know what? Like I saw people saying that they're trying it out, so I shot my shot and it landed. I remember being so surprised when I got that email back, and they're like, "Hi, this is so and so from so and so representing Capcom, and you've been accepted." And I was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah. So what do you
And
do with that? What
so
does that mean?
So basically, we represent the brand, and if we want games, we can request them. They
That's
send us stuff.
awesome.
Like these glasses are actually Capcom branded blue light glasses.
Oh wow.
Um, I have other stuff around here that's like Capcom related. My one of those big giant mouse pads is on my desk right now from them. They
Wow.
sent me some Monster Hunter like amiibos, which
Okay.
I don't use them for the Switch, so they're just figurines now for decoration.
Right. Right.
But it's very cool. One of the things that I thought of, like when I started streaming seriously, I wasn't like trying to make money off of this whole thing. Well, I'm not trying to make a side hustle. It's never going to be full time for me. But I thought if this could just kind of like maybe help pay for my gaming costs,
Yeah.
like that would be kind of cool. And now it's like, well, at least when it comes to Capcom games, I don't have to spend a penny because I
Yeah.
can just request the games. And then I've done a lot of giveaways too, and again, done giveaways for my regulars, my community. I feel weird saying my community because it's not like I hoard them, but
No, my community is a
the people that
huge
stop on
word.
my channel.
Yeah.
So I've given away or not Marvel, Monster Hunter Rise skins. Gave away 2 copies of the game. I'm hoping to do more when some of the other games like coming out, like Exo Primal is a Capcom game that's coming out
Okay.
soon. So we're gonna be looking into things like that. But yeah, it's been pretty cool. That was something
Wow.
that I never really thought would happen. So that
Congratulations. That's
thank you.
incredible.
So yeah, and it kind of gave me a little more confidence to kind of reach out to more companies. I tweeted not too long ago. I was like, if you're a content creator, don't be nervous to shoot your shot. It doesn't matter how big or small you are. Like these brands want to work with people, and it used to be where you have to have the biggest numbers and whatever, but nowadays I feel like they understand a little bit more about it being about the actual person
Right.
as opposed to how big your crowd is. Because even in the Capcom program, there are people that have low CCVs, but there's some people who don't stream at all. So just don't think that you can't do it. Just
Right.
try, and if they say no, then whatever. Because after that, I was like, yo, let me see if I can become a Ubisoft creator, and now I'm also a Ubisoft partner as well.
That's great.
Uh, I've tried EA. I have not heard back from them. That's going to be a big one. If I can become an EA creator, that would be huge.
Yeah, so
Um,
Ubisoft
yeah.
and Capcom are pretty large um,
Yes.
uh, companies.
Pro. Sorry, I'm just reading ProTune. His community is
It's
only me.
only
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
ProTune has been around for a very long time. Thank you, Pro.
Yeah, yeah. And it is a community. I mean, I like to say that you have it's not only yours, but it is people who continuously show up and support you. And I
Right.
think that's a community right there. But okay, so what kind of games? I'm trying to think. There are a lot of games
Yeah.
that
Their
they
biggest
came out.
ones that would be the Assassin's Creed
Okay.
games. Those are that's their one of their big franchises. Me, what I was playing when I got it was actually a game called For Honor, which is a very not. It's a very niche game,
Okay.
sort of like Monster Hunter. It's not a game for the masses. It's very high learning curve, things like that. But that's the game I connected with the the creator manager for Ubisoft. Not that like I asked them or anything, but you friend people on Twitter, you like their stuff, you kind of reply, you start to get to know people a little bit. So I connected with the person who handled Ubisoft, and then at one point, an update came out on For Honor, so I got back to the game. I played the game like literally that's all I streamed for a week and a half, and then that's when they actually. I didn't apply. They invited me. I got a message from them, and they're like, "Hey, we're inviting you to the Ubisoft Creator Program." I'm like, "Sweet." That's really cool. So um yeah, For Honor, that's the game that I was playing a crap ton when
Yeah.
I finally got that invite. And it's a really cool game. It's a melee based PvP.
Okay.
And not that they're going for, it's historical but not historically accurate. You
Okay.
got like samurais versus Vikings versus knights, and it's also well known because not well known, but it's known for their very gory executions, almost a la Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
So you're like at the end when you kill somebody, you're chopping off their heads or taking off limbs and spinning around and being all fancy and stuff like that.
That's funny. Yeah.
It's a fun game. It's a tough game, but it is very fun.
Now, is it tough like Elden Ring tough, or is it tough like?
I've never actually played games like that, so I don't actually know. But it's PvP. See, I've always been more of a multiplayer
Mm-hmm.
type of person, whether it's co-op or PvP. I don't do a lot of single player campaign games. I don't have the attention span for it. Like I'll go like a quarter of the way through the story, and then some another game will come out and be like, all right, and then I never get a chance to go back to it. So I've never
Yeah.
played any of the Elden Ring. I haven't played Elden Ring or any of the Dark Souls games or anything like
Right.
that.
Yeah, they
But it
they
being
looking at them, they frustrate me. So I would never play one of those
right,
games. But I was just
right.
curious because you said it's really difficult this game, or it's advanced. That if you were curious, I was curious if you've ever played any of the Souls games and
No,
had
I
a
have not.
comparison to that. Yeah, these I mean these games and these opportunities for you
Yeah.
are incredible. And I'm it's stupid to say, but like I'm really proud of you. Like
Thank you. Appreciate that.
that's really really cool,
And
man.
that's the thing too. Again, like I was telling people, don't. There's no harm in trying. Again, I don't have. I'm just starting to crack 20 CCV,
Okay.
but I mean, last year, 2022 was the first time I consistently had CCVs in the double digits. Before
No.
that, it was like 8, 9,
Yeah,
6,
yeah.
4 viewers, and part of it's just kind of getting out there. I know people talk about networking, but not follow for follow, but getting to like know people. I started uh Respawn products.
Okay.
They make like gaming chairs, gaming or tables, like for streaming stuff like that. And unfortunately, they stopped doing it. But they used to do every year a competition called Respawn Recruits. And what it is basically, a few months long competition. You have not really challenges, but they tell, oh, try this, do that, promote this. And at the end of it all, they choose a new partner. To you get a partner code. Hey, you get your chair, use my code, whatever.
Right, right,
But
right.
doing that, I did it for 2 years. And just meeting people while you're doing it, you get to know a lot of people, and then from there, I saw like an uptick in my CCV, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And
Right.
then just again trying to get your name out more. There's a new thing called Fresh Cut,
Okay.
which is it's another it's like TikTok, but for streamers. It's relatively newish,
Okay.
and I connected on there, and I got to know people from there, just like scrolling through clips, commenting. It's a very small user base at the moment, and I doubt it's even on
Yeah, no,
Wikipedia.
it's not.
But you get to meet people through that, and then they recently had something called the Fresh Cut Rising Star competition, where it was almost like an American Idol type thing. Like first you did a clip of like why you should be the Fresh Cut Rising Star, and then they took the top clips, and then they did live audition shows. They had judges who were like Twitch partners, and they had like 4 nights, 3 streamers each, and you each did a 20-minute segment of your stream, and you got the feedback from the judges and things like that. So I was like, you know what? Let me submit a clip. We'll see what happens. And then on when they reviewed the clips and chose who went on to the live auditions, I ended up being one of the live auditions. I was like, holy shoot, like this is really
Wow.
cool. And so for those that aren't familiar with my stream, I have a lot of like these crazy channel redemptions
Yeah.
where like a lot of complicated stuff happens on stream, and that's what I kind of showcased on my clip. So they were like, "Oh my gosh, that's so amazing!" So I went on to live auditions, and unfortunately, I didn't make it past the live auditions. Then it was going to be the finals, and I didn't make it past that. The person who won in my bracket actually ended up winning the whole thing. So it was super
Wow.
cool guy. But
Yeah.
that was another way where people actually were like, "Oh crap, that's what you do is really cool." And so then that's when I saw another uptick, and it's just kind of like I don't say I'm a small streamer, but I say like I'm an undiscovered streamer, which I,
Yeah.
I really feel like that's kind of the mentality a lot of people need to do. Don't think of yourself as a small streamer. You just need to get people there to see what you can do. And then
Yeah.
that kind of goes into the reaching out to companies, reaching out to partnerships, reaching out for game copies to review. Is you just kind of got to get your name out there and see what happens and see what sticks and go for it.
That's awesome. Hey
You
Panda,
know?
welcome on in. Okay,
Hello.
so ooh, that's amazing. First of all, like that's I completely agree. We had talked about networking in one of the other streams, and I had said that, and one of the streamers had said that networking is a really difficult topic for
Yeah.
them because they don't want to seem like they're selling out in any way. And I feel like the way that you're doing everything, you are not at all selling out. You are staying original to yourself, and you are doing it, man. Like I'm
Appreciate
so
that.
proud of you. So I think the way you're going
Thank you.
about it is really solid. Um okay, so we've done Monster Hunter. Let's talk about and hey Chair Bear, how's it going? Let's talk about we talked about streaming. I was curious about things that are your redemptions in your channel, for instance, like the high five command.
Yeah.
So that's like one of your big things is you're like, hey, high five, and it's like boom, and
Right.
it's just I love it. I
That's
think
actually
it's
my hand too.
yeah, I think it's so interesting. So like, what are
Mhm.
you still using Mix It Up, or like what is your
No, I've never used Mix It Up actually.
okay?
I had learned about Trigger Fire.
Okay.
That's the program I use. I know there are other ones. There's a streamer bot which is very popular too to do similar things. It's a FYRE. Again,
Okay.
I don't know if it'll be on Wikipedia, but
Nope.
yeah. Uh, streamer bot. I know there's something called Leorin board, which I know is popular, but yeah, I mean that's what the thing about Trigger Fires is nice because it's not a locally housed program that runs on your computer. It's a website. So you kind of load all your assets in there, and that's what triggers everything. That's what processes everything. Because my computer's not that great. So if I ran StreamerBot and all the things happened at once, I would probably like my computer would freeze and die on me probably. So
Right.
that's
Right.
why I like Trigger Fire.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. That let me
Yeah.
see real quick. Let's go. Trigger fire.
Yeah. And the guy who created it's a one man person, like it's a one man team. This one dude runs everything, and he actually streams every now and then, and it's really cool to kind of hop in his stream. Sometimes you'll see him coding stuff like that, so I'll just kind of chill and hang out and chat with him. But it's very cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
it can be. There's a lot of YouTube videos on it if you to get started.
Okay.
But once you get it set up and connected with OBS,
Mhm.
from there it's relatively intuitive. Like
Okay.
you load up your assets from OBS into there. You tell it the sources and the scenes and things like that, or you upload a video, you upload a sound clip, and you can set it up to do a command or channel redemption.
Okay.
So a lot of mine are primarily channel redemptions, and it's just something to make you stand out.
I think that's fantastic, and I am
Yeah.
going to favorite that so that way I can go ahead and try it. Because I'm always looking for new things for the stream. And what's interesting to me is that, Wiki Wednesday has kind of exploded in a way that I finally found my niche of something that I really enjoy and something that I feel that others enjoy, I hope,
Right.
at the same time. And I also get to meet and talk to cool people who have these amazing stories at the same time. So I feel like that is not exactly something that I can talk to other I can't talk to Ubisoft about.
No, no, right, no.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it's
Like,
definitely a different category of streaming, and
you
I
know, and
get
I do
that.
slight music, and then I do like a streaming game. It's definitely an interesting stream option. Thank you very much. Um, so okay, no more about me. So,
Right.
it's Mixer 4 to 5 years. Let's take a hard right, and let's
Okay.
go into some food. So, because
All
I'm
right.
hungry right
That
now,
works.
so I'm thinking about it.
We just ordered a whole bunch of tacos,
Oh
and it
my
was
god,
fabulous.
that sounds amazing. Now, what is your taco choice?
Well, so we got this place where they do a whole bunch of tacos, and they're like the street style kind of tacos, not like the Taco Bell kind of tacos.
Right?
And so today we did spicy pork, lengua, and shrimp. So
Wow.
or tongue for those who weren't sure what lengua is. Yes, yeah, exactly. So it's not the one where you got like the shredded cheese and the lettuce and the tomatoes and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's the one where you got like the two little soft corn tortillas, maybe some onions and cilantro, and then the meat, and that's it. And
So
then
is
like a
is
sauce or
is
something.
this a street taco in this picture?
That looks more like a street taco. Yes, that kind of does.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, what oh my god, you just like I am so hungry. So you where how long have you been eating tacos? I know this is a stupid question, but like what
All
is
my life, but
right?
like real
Okay.
tacos, maybe
Yeah.
more recent. I feel like, and I often tell people that if food culture was as big nowadays as it was when I was a kid, I may have become like a chef instead of going into finance and stuff like that. I like what the only shows that I remember were on PBS, and it was like Yan Can Cook.
Mhm.
Um,
Emerald?
who else? Like maybe like yeah, was he even on? I don't remember, but like there was like a handful of people. Now it's this phenomenon, right? That you can't contain. It's everywhere. It's on
Right.
TV. It's on social media. Everybody is becoming like even like you don't even have to be like a world renowned chef to be like a famous chef. There are like TikTok chefs,
Right.
things like that. It's huge. So if it was as big now as it was then, oh man, who knows?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I like this. There's a significant debate about the origins of tacos in Mexico, some arguing that the
Really?
taco predates the arrival of the Spanish in Mexico. And since there is anthropological evidence that the indigenous people living in the lake region of the Valley of Mexico traditionally ate tacos filled with small fish. You know
I
what
do like a
Panda
fish
was saying,
taco.
fish tacos, yeah, for the
Oh,
win.
there you go. Yeah, fish
Yeah,
tacos for the
yeah.
win. Yes.
So the others argue that the advent of the taco is more recent, with one of the more popular theories being that the taco was invented by silver
Hmm.
miners. However, the mention of the word taco in Mexico in the 1891 Los Benditos de Rio Frio by Manuel Peno. And I said none of that right, but that's okay.
But that is actually very intriguing. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, yeah,
Huh.
and for me, like I love tacos, but I love like a gordita, like a cheese. Like I know Taco
Oh, of
Bell
course.
has
Yeah.
the cheesy gordita crunch. Like
Oh, yeah.
that's that type of taco where it's both hard shell and soft shell makes
Right.
it so that I can really enjoy my tacos. But I do
Sometimes
love
I
a
feel
street
like though,
taco.
sometimes I feel like Taco Bell is kind of like a separate thing.
Oh yeah,
And if you wanted like Mexican food or it's almost like if you want pizza, you don't get Pizza Hut.
yep,
You get Pizza Hut when you specifically have a Pizza Hut craving.
absolutely.
And so Taco Bell is kind of like my same thing. I have a craving for Taco Bell, but if I want tacos, I'll get like street style tacos.
Right, and we had talked about this too, where they were saying, if you want a pizza, you would go to like the East Coast and get a pie, but if you go to Chicago, you get a casserole, and it should be its own category.
You know what? I mean,
I
I
don't think it
get
should be
it.
called a pizza. I think it should be
I
called
don't mind.
something else. I think
I
that it
totally get
tastes
it.
good, but I still think that it should be called something separate than what a pizza was initially designed to look and taste like.
I mean, I get it.
I will die
I'm
on
still
that
cool with them.
horse.
I'm still cool with them being a pizza. I say, welcome to the family. They all come in different shapes and sizes, but man, they're so good. I
I
mean, I
know. Deep dish is good. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it
It
should be
is.
called deep dish, not pizza. Like that's what I'm saying. It should have its own category. But about pizza, I don't know what that is.
Oh, what is a pixel? Yeah.
Tell me
And Taco
more.
Bell is baked off your face. Panda, I will say though, like Taco Bell has some good stuff, you
Yeah.
know? Like I mean, but it's also why I'm very large. For Lent this year, me and Games, what I said, we're gonna give up door dashing late at night. that's
Yeah.
how that's how much we do it. Is that was actually a thing where we're like, we should, that'll be our Lenten, sacrifice would be
Yeah.
not door dashing.
I get that. I once door dashed Baskin Robbins, which was like miles away, and we Baskin Robbined it, and we got one of those pizzas, like it's a frozen pizza.
Oh, I've never tried that.
Oh, they're so good. It was peanut butter cup, and oh my god, we got it for my birthday, and then we got two large shakes. It was like 8 p.m. They closed at 9, and we were just like, screw it.
DoorDash. We started door dashing during COVID because we didn't want to go around anywhere.
Right.
And honestly, it's been like it's been really awesome, but at the same time, really bad.
Oh
Like
yeah.
again, there's been times where we'd sleep. Then because we sometimes get up in the middle of the night and we're just kind of like having trouble falling back asleep. So there's one time where we're both, me and Game's wife, both happened to be up at the same time at like 1:30 a.m. and we're like, we can't fall asleep. Want to DoorDash McDonald's? And we're like, screw it, let's do it. And we DoorDash McDonald's, and it's like one of those things where it's very handy yet very evil at the same time.
We once DoorDash PF Chang's, which is not close. Again, these things are not that close, so we pay extra and all that stuff.
Right. All for like the extended range.
Right, right. But so we
Right.
go ahead, we get PF Chang's. It comes in, it's super late, and it's not even our food. Right? So we
That's
were
the worst.
really looking forward to the stuff, and it's not even our food. So I take pictures of it. They give me a full refund. And then we're like, you know what? With the refund, let's get frickin' McDonald's. So it's 10:30 at night, and we got McDonald's, and we
Hey, you
ate
gotta do
the
what you gotta
food
do.
that was totally given to us. That was incorrect. It's crazy.
That's all right though. I've heard some horror stories with DoorDash. Thankfully, like the worst thing we've ever had is maybe missing a fries or something like that. So it hasn't been that bad. But I've heard people like finding their dashers actually like eating their food,
That happened
and
to
they're
us.
saying, "For reals?
Yeah.
Oh, that is messed up."
Yep, it was saying that it was on the way, and then it suddenly said it was delivered, and it was like
And it wasn't.
midway, and it never came, and we were like, what the hell? Like, we ordered something, we were like, oh, let's get sushi, like, it's gonna be great, and
Oh,
we
that's
finally
like the
have the
good stuff,
money
too.
for it. Yeah,
Right.
it was the good stuff, and it got eaten. We were so pissed.
I would be too.
Yeah, so it's funny because this started in late 2012.
Oh, I didn't know it's been around for that long.
Yeah, Stanford University students were getting feedback of a
All right.
mobile app for small business owners with Macaroon store who told them of her challenges meeting demand for deliveries. So they did PaloAltoDelivery.com in Palo Alto, California, and received
Of course,
$120,000 in seed money and incorporated DoorDash in 2013. DoorDash overtook Uber Eats to hold the second position U.S. food delivery sales behind Grubhub. So, and then I know that Uber Eats uses DoorDash, like some people just like double dip. And so I once had a driver that I saw them.
yeah,
You
yeah.
could see where they are, and they were at Sonic. And we're like, why are they at Sonic? Like, why haven't they delivered our food yet? And it's because they were
Right.
getting another order before ours.
DoorDash now has that thing where I guess people would make multiple stops before they deliver food. Now they have that pay an extra $3 and you get the direct delivery. And I'm like,
I do it.
exactly.
I do it every freaking time.
There are times where I'm like, should I? Shouldn't I? I'm like, crap. Because there's been times where we have waited like 45 minutes. And it's because they went on like 2 other deliveries before ours. I was like, screw it.
Yeah, longest we've waited was like an hour and 30 minutes for our food.
Oh, that's long. I've never been that long for us, thankfully.
Yeah, yeah, and it was the wrong food. Like again, like we, and that was Uber Eats.
Or
like they hate
I was gonna
us.
say food delivery in your area sounds a little sketch.
They hate us. All 3 apps: Grubhub, DoorDash, and Uber Eats, and Postmates. 4 apps.
Oh, so we don't have post, but we have. What about Slice? Do you guys do Slice?
We
over
don't
there?
do Slice. I've seen delivery drivers have multiple apps open because they pay as crap, and there's
Oh, yeah.
70s too to do 30 deliveries in a week. A certain area
Holy
code, you get
moly.
a bonus. had too many messed up door dashes. Yeah, it's just it's a nightmare, but it's good. Like when
Right.
it's good, it's good.
Yeah. No, of course.
But when it's
It,
bad, it's a horror
it's
story.
and it's a beautiful idea too. Let's admit it. It's a great idea.
Yeah,
You know,
it's changed
basically
the food
adding delivery to
industry.
exactly restaurants that never would have been able to handle, paying for like delivery drivers and things like that. You're getting yourself out to more people. Again, it's like the networking of streaming. You're getting your name out there to more places.
Absolutely, 100%. Because there are places like certain around here that I was like, I didn't even know this was a place. Like,
Right.
let's do it. But
And now you
now,
also have those, what are they called, the ghost kitchens, where they're not even real places. They're just current restaurants and their different names, and you're just like, you
no, I
SOBs, I
didn't
know
know
who you are.
this.
You didn't know that?
No, no,
Oh yeah.
no.
Like Chili's, you'll have Chili's,
Right.
but then maybe they'll just sell like their wings out of something called like Wings R Us or something on DoorDash. And yeah, there's literally these, I think they're called ghost kitchens, where it's basically run out of an existing restaurant but under a different name on
Oh,
DoorDash
wow.
or whatever.
That's interesting. We have Uber,
Yeah.
Deliveroo, and Just Eat.
Oh,
All of
cool.
the individual restaurants have their own apps because it's cheaper to pay for their own drivers now going away.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so like Pizza Hut like is on Uber Eats. So like you can get Pizza
Yeah.
Hut through Uber Eats, and that just blows my mind that that's even an option.
Yeah, and it's nice too because then we live outside of the normal delivery area of our Pizza Hut, and so but DoorDash, it's all good.
Yeah.
You can still get, so
Yeah, as
it's
long as
kind of
you're
cool.
within like 10 miles, but like what's funny is like the 10 miles isn't like it's funny it shows on the map like this curve.
Oh, right,
And
right.
you're like 10 miles, but really it's like boop 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 boop. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm like, "Oh, I feel bad for this driver. Let's tip him extra." But I don't tip beforehand anymore. I wait until they deliver
Oh.
because tipping beforehand is how I got my food eaten beforehand, and then I lost $20.
Ooh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so I always wait until the driver
That's actually
actually
good. That's a
delivers
good
the
idea.
food. Yeah, yeah.
That is a good idea.
Ghost kitchens here are just delivery only, and they usually hit it in office blocks or industrial estates. They literally do
Uh,
delivery, not even takeaway. Huh. Huh. That's a an interesting
Ghost
concept.
kitchens. But
Yeah.
again, I guess if you're, a little more small time, but like again, there are some here, at least in the U.S., where again, literally, what's the one that we like? It's Just Wings
Okay.
is one that we order from often, but that it's literally out of Chili's. So if you were actually order from Chili's and ordered the wings, it's the same wings from It's Just Wings because it's literally
It's
from the same place.
wow. So if you were to do what is it called? Wing Street, right? Wing Street uses that a Pizza
Well,
Hut. Would a
yeah.
Wing Street have its own ghost kitchen?
So I think, I mean, I don't know if that's, I mean, it's that kind of concept where it's a separate entity, but within. But I feel like with Wing Street, it's like known,
Right,
it's
right.
like advertised as such, and it's part of like the advertising and the billboard or whatever outside the restaurant, at least with ours.
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot of these other ones, like if you go to Chili's, you don't know that they're delivering It's Just Wings
Right.
out of Chili's.
Never tipped before. I tipped before my food was 3 hours late. Yep. There was a lady who
Yeah,
walked around
bro,
my
that's a good call.
neighborhood in San Diego with a tamale basket and yelled $5 and she hooked you up. Good stuff. That sounds like
See,
good
that's
city
that's the
stuff.
legit way.
Yeah,
That's the good
yeah.
way to do
If I lived back in by New York City, that's pretty much probably what would happen is,
it.
uh
Go to a halal cart.
like in the Heights, Peragua, Peragua,
Ah,
like
yes.
it'd just be like that all the time, and I'd be like, yes, please sign me up. Okay, so what about Asian food? We talked about tacos. Let's talk
Oh
about
yeah.
Asian
Well,
food.
not to be biased, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
but yeah. I mean, I love Filipino food.
okay,
Uh, we like sushi a
yeah,
lot,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
now ramen is making this big surge, especially now with like specific ramen spots and ramen being through DoorDash.
yeah.
Definitely that's a big one, like legit ramen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, although I'll eat instant ramen at any point. I mean, I don't mind that.
Yeah.
But there's something about home cooked food from like my parents.
Aw.
We were born and raised in New York, but my parents came over from the Philippines in the 70s, and there's just something about that home cooking. And
Yeah.
now even Game's wife, um she's learned how to make a few dishes, and it's so cool. Like if I'm not feeling well, there was a dish called arroz caldo,
Okay.
that's Filipino, and it's like a rice porridge soup kind of thing with chicken and stuff. And one time I wasn't feeling good, and Game's wife like looked up a recipe and she busted it out, and it was like perfect, like spot on, just as good as my mom's. But it's kind
Aww.
of one of those things though, where especially like the way, it's that old school kind of cooking where you don't really measure, you
Right.
kind of like eyeball, and so um Game's wife has tried to kind of do the same way. We're like, oh, I kind of know the basic ingredients, let me experiment. And so every now and then it's like the most amazing thing, and then other times, I mean, it's always good,
Right.
but
Right.
there's always varying levels of good. But
Yeah.
that's definitely one of my comfort foods. I remember being a kid, and whenever my grandparents lived in the Philippines, but they would come here every summer, spend some time on the West Coast where like my cousins and my aunts and uncles live, and they would spend like part of the summer there, and then part of the summer here in New York where the rest of my mom's family is. And one of my favorite things that my grandma used to make was scaldo and fried rice. And so it's like a Filipino breakfast.
Okay.
It's kind of like garlic fried rice, a meat sort of like, there's a longanisa, there's like a Spanish version of longanisa, but there's a Filipino version, and eggs, over easy eggs.
Okay.
So that's kind of like, oh, if you're looking for what's called, it's a rose, Arroz, then caldo, Caldo.
Thank you.
There you go. Just so you
Like
know.
Ariscaldo. It's so
Yeah. So
American
basically,
and
I mean,
stupid.
so for those that don't know, the Philippines were, ruled by Spain for a very long time. So a lot of the culture, a lot of the language, a lot of the foods are kind of, Spanish
Hmm.
like. So arroz caldo is uh rice, not soup. I forget what caldo is, but those two words are Spanish in and of itself. So
Yeah.
then that's what it is. And a lot of times, you add chicken or whatever. Um, and sometimes it's sort of like ramen, you might add like an egg. So those are little bits of fried garlic that's sprinkled on top there.
Oh my god.
It's one of those like warm hug type of things. You eat it and just like, oh, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would definitely eat that. It reminds me of pastina, which is
Ah,
Italian,
yep.
and basically just milk and tiny little pieces of pasta,
Right. Yeah.
with ingredients, other ingredients. But the home cooking of that pastina, I totally get it. Like that was comfort food. That
Oh
it was
yeah.
basically a box. Like I don't understand. They would make it out of a box, but like it was delicious.
Oh yeah, of
Um,
course.
I think the one thing from my grandma is ricotta cake,
Ooh, okay, right on.
which is like a yellow cake type thing with ricotta
Hmm.
cheese. And the ricotta cheese sinks to the bottom, so it's heavy. So it's kind of like an ooey butter cake, but it's
Hmm.
fluffier. And so that's the one thing. Now, what is your dessert? There was a segue there. What is your dessert of choice?
Huh. All right. So again, being Americanized, there are certain Filipino tastes that I'm not a fan of.
Okay.
So there's one called Halo Halo,
Okay.
basically spelled Halo Halo if you were to try to look it up. Um, and it's
Ooh.
like crushed ice with a whole bunch of stuff, but one of the big things is red beans. And so it's just it's weird. I don't like it. It's like one of the like big desserts in the Philippines. I don't. It's weird textures and flavors that I don't think should mix at all, but people
No.
love it.
Pete, no, absolutely not. No, thank
You
you.
know, it's interesting, but again, there are people who like it. It's just not for me. It's
Yeah,
just not for
you
me.
lost me at red beans, and then I looked at there,
Yeah,
and there was a
because I mean,
lot
like
of
red
different
bean paste is
colors.
good. Like in Chinese buns and stuff like that.
Right.
Red bean paste can be good, but there's something about it in here with mixing with some of the other stuff. It's just not right.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now, what? Okay, so what is the good
All right,
choice?
so what I like, I mean, again, people may not know it as Filipino, but again, because of the Spanish influence, flan is
Oh
very big in the
yeah, flan is
Philippines,
super good.
and I love flan. I absolutely love flan.
Yeah, yum yum. Flan is also another texture of like ricotta cake.
Oh, is that what it?
Same
Yeah.
type of fluff. But yeah, that looks. I love flan.
It's right. I mean, everybody for the most part, most people know flan. I mean, that's not too
Yeah.
exotic, I think, nowadays. But that is a very popular dessert in the Philippines as well. And
Mm-hmm.
my aunt, who's not Filipino though, used to make an absolute great flan. She would make it for all the parties, and I was just like, oh, it was. I was always looking forward to it.
Yum. Okay, so flan, and then that's okay. So Americanized stuff. What do you got?
Oh, I mean, I just eat anything and everything.
If you had to order from DoorDash, what
Right.
would your
Okay.
order be?
Honestly, and Games Life is getting so sick of it because I'm always a big McDonald's fan.
Okay.
You know, even we watched that The Founder,
Okay.
the movie about Ray Kroc and the founding of McDonald's.
No, but
And even then when
I'm
we
interested.
learned just how much of a scumbag the dude was,
Yeah.
I'm like, crap, man. I still love this food.
Right. I get that he was bad, but the food is good,
Right,
so
right. I mean, again, I've never had a Chick-fil-A, but I know there's certain things that people don't like about Chick-fil-A politically
yeah.
and all that stuff, which obviously is not good, but people still really love the food. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's like it's hard to separate the two,
Right.
you know.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. I dabble in Chick-fil-A only a little.
Or I will say that, like Panda was saying, Michael Keaton was amazing in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. So good.
Okay, hold on. The
Also has Nick Offerman.
founder.
Anything with Nick Offerman has to be good too.
Okay.
And Linda Cardellini, she's awesome too. Good
Okay.
movie. If you haven't seen The Founder, I definitely recommend it.
Interesting. And it's funny that he's a milkshake maker. That's what his started as, right? Traveling milkshake machine salesman, Ray
Yes.
Kroc.
Yeah.
And yet, most of their time, their fucking machines are down.
Why is that? Like,
It's a specialized machine. Galvos told me once that it's a very specialized machine that requires
okay.
very specialized equipment. And so that's basically it.
Either that or it's like Panda saying, like it creates a frenzy.
Right.
It creates not supply, not demand frenzy. So
Yeah, absolutely. And like even in Burger King had this amazing brownie batter shake. I mean, phenomenal. And they were always friggin' out of it. Like I had it once and I was like, this is my addiction. And then they're like, oh, our machine is down. Our machine is down. Everywhere I went, I traveled from
right.
St. Louis to friggin' Kansas City, and their machines are all down. It's actually a software thing.
That's
It's
a
set to
shame.
cycle down at 11 p.m.
Ah.
Well, when it cycles down and then it stays down, that's when
Yeah.
the
Stay down
chaos
for
begins.
3 months.
Yeah, that's when the chaos
But
ensues.
Frosties are always available at Wendy's.
Yes, exactly. Someone hacked them and then they got sued. What?
I never knew that. That's
I never
actually
knew that
kinda
either.
cool.
That's a crazy. Okay, so we've got different types of food. You were talking about your desserts. We've got
Right.
flan. Give me one more. Give me like the chocolate cake of your desire.
Is it weird? I don't really like chocolate cake.
No, I know, but I mean the piece de resistance.
For me myself, like just
Oh
in
yeah,
general, what
yeah,
I
yeah.
like. I mean, besides like ice cream or something like that, I would say a nice cheesecake. But cheesecake has to have that crust. If you don't have that graham cracker crust on the bottom or some sort of crust on the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
I'll still eat it, but it's
I'll
not the
still
same.
eat it.
It's not the same. You know when it's just all of the just cheesecake filling and not I gotta have that crust personally.
All right, denser, fluffy cheesecake.
I didn't realize there were so many different types of cheesecake.
Oh yeah.
See there, that has a crust. That
Yeah.
I would devour in 2 seconds. Or if you're getting it from Cheesecake Factory, the Kahlua cheesecake. That's a good one.
So
Dense or fluffy? See, I'm
yeah,
not sure if I know the difference between the two. So all right, so if New York is considered dense, then I'm all down for New York.
yeah. New York style is this one. Okay.
There you go. Give it to me.
So
You see,
that's
even that's kind of a chintzy crust there. I need a little bit more.
yeah, I agree. French is fluffy, so this
French
is
is
more
fluffy. Yeah,
of
do you have
a
the
picture of the French
huh?
one.
I don't think I've ever had that.
Okay, and then you've got German, which see it looks like it has like a
Ooh,
meringue on top,
yeah.
which I would eat.
Again, I'm intrigued.
It's custardy, really
Who knew
interesting.
there were so many? It's sort of like donuts or fried dough. It's like every culture has some sort of fried dough.
Yeah,
So does that like so many different cultures have cheesecake, and I did not realize that honestly.
yeah. Oh, I did not know that either. Oh, lemon cheesecake, sign me up. I love
Oh,
anything
I'd be down.
lemon.
I would be down.
I love anything lemon. Okay, so here we are in the cheesecake world. I once worked for a company, and the bonus time was around Thanksgiving. They were giving out
Okay.
cheesecake slices. You got one big
Ooh.
cheesecake, and you got to choose all the slices of the cheesecake. They would put it together for you.
Oh, right, right, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, this cheesecake place was beautiful, and we got like the turtle one, and then the peanut butter cup
Ooh,
one, and then like, oh,
yes.
it was, oh,
Yo,
so
I'm
good.
all for that. All
So
of
good.
it. Again,
Um,
it there's not much I don't like, honestly. It's very hard for me to find a food that
all right, so talk about a
I'm
food you
not
don't
digging.
like besides the thing I can't remember
Oh,
already.
honestly, I'm trying to think. Hmm. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything
So
really
you
that I'm
said, well, you
like,
said chocolate cake.
all right. It's not again, it's not that I wouldn't eat it, but of all the desserts that are around, like if I'm looking at down a menu, it's too plain, you
Okay.
know? Especially if you're like going out or even like a birthday, I'd rather have an ice cream cake
Yeah. Oh
or
my
at the
God, ice
very
cream
least
cake.
a red velvet cake, something
Yes.
like that, a cannoli cake.
You like carrot
I
cake?
I I, I love carrot cake. Though when I was a kid, I used to hate it. I
Mm-hmm.
used to hate carrot cake. I thought the idea of carrots and cake and the whole like that spiced flavor was
Yeah.
awful. And there's just at some point in my adult life where it clicked, and I now absolutely love carrot cake.
There's carrot cake in my
It's definitely one of
fridge
my
right
favorites.
now. Just as a heads up. And then
How
also,
long has it been there?
day. Yesterday is when
Oh,
I got it. So,
okay. All
and
right.
then our wedding cake was um, carrot cake.
Nice. I was gonna
So,
say like, if that was me, that carrot cake probably would have been gone already.
oh yeah, no, I told you like earlier. I was like I tried to eat and I couldn't eat anymore. So
Right.
it's for tonight. It's for tonight.
Good call.
Yeah,
Don't DoorDash. You got your cake.
exactly, exactly.
So you never used to like carrot cake. Now it's like, yeah, it's so weird how like your
Your
taste changed.
taste,
You know,
yeah.
in general, like like with vegetables when I was a kid, you're like, oh, broccoli, oh, this. Now I'm like, well, yo, I'll
Give
take
me
it all, man.
right, right. Give me it's food. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So do you cook?
Yes, I think
Okay.
I'm a pretty decent cook. I don't cook too much just because of time constraints and work constraints.
Right.
So normally, a lot of times, Game's wife is home before I'm done with the work. I work from home, so I am technically home, but I'm not usually done till later.
Right.
And our my father-in-law, Elder Game's father-in-law, lives with us too. So
Okay.
he's older, so he actually eats like around 5, and so we eat with him.
Right.
So I'm a lot of times I'm just kind of like getting off of work around then. So Games Life does usually the cooking, though I do cook when I can,
Okay.
particularly on the weekends or breakfast. She's not a big breakfast person because she takes a little bit of time to wake up.
Yeah.
But me, I love breakfast time. Like I'll whip up omelets. I'll whip up again the Filipino style breakfast of fried rice, over easy eggs, and some sort of meat, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
or grilling. I'm
Grilling.
usually the
Yeah.
go-to griller. Like if we go
Yeah.
to my parents and they're doing a party and my dad's like making steaks, he's like, Dan, come over here.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Do the steaks for us. I'm like, fine, whatever. Because
Fine.
it's better than him handling because he overdoes it and nobody likes
No,
don't
nobody likes an overdone steak. I don't care
right. I'm
if
gonna
you
say
do
though,
like an
not
overdone
nobody,
steak,
right.
then you're not liking steak.
Yeah. You like meat in general, but to have a nice steak, you gotta
Right,
have at
right.
least or at most medium. And
Medium,
even then that's
too
kind of
much.
yeah, I'm more of a
Yeah.
medium rare kind of guy.
Oh yeah, my brother used to eat it like straight up rare. Like you put it on the grill, you turn it on over. That's the food that he used to eat.
Yeah.
Like
You
the
get the
cow
nice
is still
purple center.
mooing,
Yep.
basically. Yeah. Um. But yeah, so remember we were talking about categorizing pizzas? Like I would
Yes.
categorize that steak. Like I would be
Oh
like,
yeah,
this
yeah.
is a steak, and then if you want it complete, then it should be like charred steak. Like it should
Right.
have its own name.
No, it's
It
true.
shouldn't.
I remember uh when we went out for my bachelor party,
Okay.
right? We went to a place called Carmine's.
Okay.
Uh and it's big in the city, but they have a spot in Atlantic City as well, which is the one we went to. It's this like famous Italian family style kind of restaurant, you know. And so we were having it was my bachelor party. So we went, and besides other things, we got the prime rib, right?
Yes.
The prime rib for like everybody style prime rib. And we're all like, prime rib is nice. That's like a good cut of meat. We're all psyched. We're going medium rare. And of course, there's always going to be that one guy that wants it well done. And you're
Yeah.
just like, so they actually like brought everything out, and then they had to cut off his piece and then bring it back to cook it
Cook it
some more.
longer. Oh
And I'm
my
just like,
gosh.
oh gosh,
Yeah,
he's
I
not
don't
with
know
us.
you. Please don't. He's not with us. Yeah.
You're right.
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
know.
Oh my gosh. So okay, so steaks. Do you have your perfect cut?
I would take a nice ribeye.
Okay.
A lot of people like filet mignon, and I feel like that's very overrated, in my opinion. I
Yeah.
feel like it doesn't have. I don't know if it really does or doesn't, but to me, it feels like it doesn't have that as much fat as some of the other more expensive cuts, like a prime, like a ribeye or something like that,
Right.
or what a porterhouse, I think is the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because the more fat, the more flavor, obviously.
One hundred
Because that's why I
percent.
feel like you usually see the filet mignons wrapped in bacon or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
because it needs that extra fat to kind of add to the flavor.
I
But
agree.
we recently went to Ruth's Chris, which is like kind of like a big steakhouse chain,
Mm-hmm.
for my nephew's 21st birthday. And actually, pro, right? That's actually what I was gonna say. So their best cut was the Wagyu ribeye, and Game's wife and my nephew got it, and it was like cut it with a side of the fork tender. It was so beautiful. It was so
Wagyu
nice,
ribeye.
so good. Wagyu is like the American almost equivalent as Kobe. We know Kobe is like the top tier
Right.
of beef. Wagyu is like what they do in the States, is trying to be like Kobe beef,
Um.
and so
Let's.
good.
We're back at steak. So let's do wagyu. Oh, relax. Wagyu. Wagyu. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so it's rated for quality, higher price for quality. For example, beef tenderloin is the most tender, while Wagyu, such as Kobe beef from Japan, is also known for its high quality.
Yes. I've seen documentaries on like Kobe, and back in the day, they used to like they would massage the cows,
Oh,
they would
wow.
feed them beer. They were like they wanted these cows to be so relaxed and so chill, so that their muscles wouldn't be as tough, and so that the
Wow.
meat could be super nice.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah, see there, Kobe is like the pinnacle of steaks. I think,
This is what we
like
used to
Protein says,
eat
bring
when
it
I
in.
was younger. London broil.
London broil. I mean, that is classic. That is,
Yeah.
especially if you got like a whole family to feed.
Yep.
Throw those on the grills and slice them up.
Yep, and we always
I
like
get
it
it.
was four of us, so it was always like who got the most pieces. We tried to make it specific, and we were still kind of hungry afterwards, but you don't say
Of
anything.
course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, so hard left. Let's
Okay.
talk. Let's talk music.
All right.
So we've got punk ska, and then you said classic rock. Was that what you said? Okay,
Yes.
so what
Yes.
kind of punk bands are we talking about?
I mean, you can almost consider them classic rock now at
Right
this
at this
point.
point.
Yeah, you had like your Rancid,
Mm-hmm.
Offspring, Blink 182.
Okay.
Who else? Anti-Flag, what I remember I used to really like, which was really weird. So Anti-Flag was one of those very political punk bands, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were very like anti-corporate, anti-this, F the politicians, that kind of thing. Then one year I find them on Madden.
What?
These anti-corporate,
Yeah.
anti-this and that not pop, punk bands, like hardcore punk bands,
Right.
and they're on the Madden soundtrack one year, and I'm like, Are you kidding me? You effing sellouts. And I don't
Yeah.
mind selling out. Don't get me wrong. Make your bag whenever you can. But the fact that these guys started one way and then they're
Right.
on Madden, the monopoly on American football video games. And I was just like, really? Really, guys?
Nothing matters when
Right.
money's
Nothing.
involved.
I
Yeah.
mean, again, I get it. Especially if you don't have it and you get a chance to have it, I mean, go for it. It's just I just found it very amusing when I saw that.
Yeah, I
Oh,
completely
minor
agree.
threat. There you go.
Okay, okay. So let's just look up punk then. Let's
Oh
just.
my gosh, Fugazi. Wow. There you go. There's another one. Um,
So let's see what
I know.
they come up with because there's tons of
Oh,
genres
Green
and
Day.
stuff. Green Day.
Obviously, Green Day.
Yeah, I was
Green Day
gonna
was
say
one of my
Green Day because
faves. Yeah.
they also had a set way, and then they kind of were like, just kidding,
Right.
we're doing it for the money a little bit, but again,
But
it
that
is what it
they
is.
felt like that just felt like an evolution of their music to the times. Is that you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yes, it's kind of selling out, but I don't know. It felt more natural to
I
me.
agree. All right, so early stuff they were
Yeah, a
talking
little bit.
about.
Just a little bit. But you know what? You can still rock out to their stuff.
Let's see, U2, Australia, 1984. We're going down. They have a whole thing. Alternative rock, punk revival. This is what
Oh,
we're
okay.
looking at here. Mainstream success. So
Oh
Green
yeah,
Day,
no
Bad
effects.
Religion,
Oh my
um,
gosh, that's right.
Stranger Than
Uh,
Bad Religion,
Bad
Stranger Than
Religion. There
Fiction.
you go.
Um,
What about
let's
like
go
was
away.
it
Rancid,
Misfits?
No
Rancid was one of my
FX,
top.
Offspring.
Man, going to Warp Tour. We were talking a little bit before we started, but I
Mm-hmm.
remember I went to two Warp Tours, 98 and 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was in college up in Albany, New York, there was actually surprisingly pretty good punk and ska kind of music,
Mm-hmm.
you know, culture over there, and like some decent name bands would come through, and I mean, not like Rancid or Green Day, but you got your like smaller like Street Like Manifesto, ska bands like that would come through, and so it was actually really cool. I was a little
Yeah.
bit more into the ska, but I like the punk that had the ska on it, which is like Rancid was one of my favorites
Mm-hmm.
because they used to kind of blend the two a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but my I never really knew about either until high school. When I was a freshman in high school, my cousin was a senior, and he used to drive me, especially like after track practice or something after the buses went, and he would rock ska or punk, and primarily ska, and that's when I started loving it. And then again, it had a semi, you know, mainstream few years with like Mighty Mighty Boss Stones, things like
Yep.
that. Real Big Fish.
Yep. Real big. I
But
remember people who were like real big fish, huge super
yeah,
fans. So okay. So third wave, we've got No Doubt,
yeah. Well, of course,
Hot
No Doubt was a big
Knives,
one.
Hot Knives, Real Big Fish, Less Than Jake. I loved
Yeah,
them.
Less Than Jake was absolutely one of my favorites. Voodoo Glow Skull. Oh my gosh, Suicide Machines. Oh my gosh, Suicide Machines were freaking ridiculous. They're
Goldfinger.
oh Sublime.
Yeah.
Sublime was good too.
Sublime is amazing. I still listen to
So
Sublime. They came out
oh
with a
hell
new,
yeah.
yeah, they just came out with new stuff and it's really, really
Oh,
good.
is it still Sublime with Rome? Is Rome still the lead singer now?
Great question. Next.
Okay.
I don't
But
know.
what I was gonna mention, so Suicide Machines, it's kind of in the middle of there,
Uh-huh.
of that paragraph. So Warp Tour '98, one of the scariest scenes I've ever had at a show or experience. So Suicide Machines was up. It's their turn at the main stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're jamming out, they're doing whatever, and then there's kind of like the little pause, a little bit, and they're like, "You guys want to play a game?" And we're like, "Yeah!" It's like, "Do you guys want to play Braveheart?" And we're like, "Yeah!" So they're like, all right, everybody, part down the middle."
Oh God.
So everybody, the whole giant, again, this is the main stage. So this is like one of the main
Right.
yards.
Right.
So everybody probably makes like a 30-yard gap in the middle of the crowd,
Oh
right?
no, I know what's about to
And
happen.
yeah, and they're like, "All right, on the count of three, everybody charge." And we're like, oh shit. So one, two, and I'm like somewhat in like really close to the middle of the split. So
Yeah.
everybody starts charging, and like you have to move, like you can't
Yeah.
not move.
Yeah.
And then both sides crash, and it's like you can hear people screaming like help, or like, ah. I remember a little close to me, I had fallen over, and I'm a big guy, and
Right.
this was when I was like, I'm kind of squishy now, but I was like a brick wall that I used to play sports in college. And I was on top of these two little girls,
Aw.
but I was in like a weird angle where I couldn't like actually like pick myself up because I would have to push down on
On
them
them.
to get up. So I'm like, somebody help me up. And it was like people were carrying people out from the middle.
Oh
It was
my
just absolutely
gosh.
ridiculous. But then, things kind of normalize, things are going crazy. And then next they're like, hey, everybody, you see that ice cream truck? And like a little behind the crowd was an ice cream truck. And they're like, attack the ice cream truck. And so literally the whole yard clears out, surrounds the ice cream truck. They're rocking this thing. They're climbing on top. It was ridiculous. But I remember I didn't get caught in the run. So I'm literally just standing there alone, and there's like 3 other people in this yard now. And one of them was my cousin, who I lost track of earlier in the day.
Oh,
So we're like,
nice.
oh snap, what's up, dude? But like that was the wildest thing. Like I was literally scared at that point. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh my gosh, what a story. Wow. That's
Oh,
terrifying.
it was very, very scary. But actually kind of fun too when you're
Yeah,
young and
right?
cynical.
When you
But
look back
it's
on
ridiculous. Yeah,
it.
as an adult, I'd be like, oh no, 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 no.
You start trying to go the other way, trying to swim through, you know?
It's so hard though. In those kinds of crowds. That's why you hear things of like, was it what? Who's that rapper that recently had like a trampling at the concert? Like you keep hearing these stories. It's
Oh my
it's
god.
legit. It gets crazy.
Yeah. Well, shit. All
And
right.
by the way, Safe Ferris. I used to love Safe Ferris too, Panda. They were awesome.
Yeah. So come on up, Hayden, but it's
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So now we've got into classic rock. So what are we looking at as classic rock?
Well,
Your
to me,
classic rock,
classic rock,
right?
right? Because it weirds me out now. If I listen to the classic rock station, I'm hearing like Pearl Jam and Green Day.
Yep.
It's weird, but Beatles,
Yep.
um, Jimi Hendrix,
Mm-hmm.
Foreigner, Queen.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely love Queen. And again, those are things I wasn't really big into until college, actually. And my college roommate was a huge Beatles fan. And then that's how I kind of got into Beatles. And then from there, I'm like, you know what? And then when I would come home, I would start listening to the classic rock station instead of like the alt rock station or
Right.
whatever. And then, so by us, I don't know if you were close enough. 104.3,
Yeah.
Q104.
Which turned into a country station, right?
Well, it's maybe for a little bit earlier on, but it's classic rock
Oh, okay.
still
Good.
now.
Good.
But and then you hear more more bands, and it just there's something about it. My oldest brother still says to me, no kidding, that he thinks Beatles are the most overrated band in history.
There are
And I'm
people
like,
who believe that for sure.
and I get it. I respect your opinion, but
Right. Right.
dang, man, there's something about him. It's so good.
I
And even
mean,
like it's weird because Ringo Starr wasn't necessarily the most complicated of drummers,
right.
but he was on point. He was so good. And obviously they were, but yeah, I'm a big Beatles fan.
I'm a big Rush fan. Rush is
There you go.
my
That is
Rush
ours.
is my
Oh,
jam.
let me look at this list.
Yeah.
Springsteen. Yep. I mean, all Billy Joel, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely Billy Joel.
Yep.
Billy Joel's fabulous at karaoke. Being Filipino,
Yeah.
Filipinos are very big into karaoke,
Oh
and usually
boy.
Billy Joel has many good go-to songs
Yes.
for karaoke.
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
there's I mean just so many, and this is what's considered classic rock to me. And now you're
Right.
talking about classic rock being like Nirvana and,
Yeah.
Green Day and stuff, and you're just like, what is happening? I
But I
am
mean,
old. Like
but if you think about like by the time when like again the 90s,
Right.
when we think of the normal classic rock, that was the 70s. That was only a 20-year difference.
Right.
At this point now, from here to the 90s, it's a 30-year difference. So it's like what we consider classic rock then, the time
Right.
gap wasn't even as large as
Yep.
now hearing Green Day on classic rock or Nirvana or Pearl Jam, things like that.
Oh my god.
How old are? May I ask how old you are, Panda?
Panda, don't answer. Panda, answer like a general thing, like between
Because I,
25 and
right.
50.
You don't even have to say, but I was telling Panda, Rusty Panda, this one was that we kind of again amongst the community. We have this running joke where I tell them that I'm like in my 60s. A few people know my real age, but I tell them like I'm like 62, 63, or I'll make up numbers that are like in the 50s or 70s. And they're all like, I don't know if you're telling the truth or not. Because Asian people can look very young when they're very, very old.
Oh,
You're 50. All right,
nice.
there you go. So when I say like, oh, I'm going to turn 63 this year, people are like, is that true? I don't know.
Yeah, I account age. Oh, 13 years.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Wow.
Was it even
Wow.
Twitch at that point?
I know. Were you on Justin TV? It had to be.
Oh my goodness.
Good for
That's
you.
amazing.
Yeah, good for you. Okay, so classic rock, punk ska. Let's talk about what. Let's talk about what you want to talk about here, which is sports.
What's that? Yes,
The
I am a
core of the
very,
Elder
very
Gamesman is
big
not only
sports fan.
gamesman but sportsman.
Yes,
Um,
I've been involved in sports all my life. I I played at a decently high level.
okay.
Um,
So what was the
like
sport?
so growing up, we played basketball, baseball, the normal stuff. When I got to high school, I actually hated baseball, but I was pretty good at it.
Okay.
Like I would make the all-star teams, whatever. But my dad would not let me not play baseball. He's like, you're not gonna go through the summer just doing whatever. You're gonna play a sport, at least to get you out there, do something. But like, fine. But when I finally got to high school, he's like, all right, you can play whatever you want because you have like more choices now. Because really, as you're growing up, like soccer wasn't big, as
Yeah.
big when I was growing up. So being a kid, it's really just basketball, baseball growing up.
And
So when I got to
and
high school,
football.
well, right. But so that's the thing, is I was too fat for football.
Interesting.
So Pop Warner had weight limits. And so if I was to play, I would have been with kids that were like 3 grades ahead of me
Got
or
it.
something like that. And I was like, I don't want to do, like, I think I would have actually played with my middle brother. So I was like, yeah, no. But so the high school I did play football. But I stopped playing at a point because I hated the coach.
That's fair.
So because Twitchy's more elder statespersons. There you go.
Yeah.
Just real quick side note. So the elder gamesman, a lot of people think of it because I'm old, and that's kind of why I'm the elder gamesman. It's actually supposed to be a play on the elder statesman, and the elder statesman isn't necessarily an old person, but it's someone of a kind of like respect within a group, the elder statesman of a group. So people are always like, oh, are you old? Are you old? You play the Elder Scrolls games? I'm like, no, it's supposed to be, but whatever. Just a sidetrack a little there. So I saw them say statesperson. So there, yes, you are one of 2 people who has actually gotten the reference of it being an elder statesman. But
I am not one of those people. So
it's okay. So what was I saying? Oh, right. So like again, my family's just been like very athletic anyway. So my brother, it's one of those things where your older brothers set a standard, then you kind of have to live up to it. So like my middle brother was like one of those all state everything he does kind of people. And so that's why I stopped playing football, because when I got to varsity, like I remember doing like a mistake, and then the coach was like, well, Randy wouldn't have done it like that. That's my brother's name. Randy
Right.
wouldn't have done it like that. And I was like, F you, I'm out of here.
Right. I am not
So I was done.
Randy.
But then but I did track, and track I absolutely loved. And that was one of those things where I got like league championships, class championships, section championships,
Nice.
things
What
like
did
that.
you do in track?
Shot put and discus. It was
Okay.
shot put that I got that. But then going into college, I wanted to play something, but obviously my size, like I was like big and strong, but I wasn't tall. Like Filipino,
Right.
we're not very
Right.
tall people. So I was only like 5. I'm only 5'10".
Okay.
So when you think of prototypical throwers, they're like 6'4", things like
Right.
that.
Right.
But like I wanted to do something in college, so I ended up playing rugby.
Oh,
I wanted to join
cool.
something competitive, so I did. So I was part of the D1 squad at Albany rugby, and today, even now, rugby is one of my favorite sports to watch. recently in the US, there's now Major League Rugby, and the New York team won the MLR championship last year. Go New York.
Yeah.
So yeah, be behind football, which is my number one favorite sport. Absolutely, growing up, we were huge football fans. New York Jets.
Yep.
Um, so that was always been my number one favorite sport, and I do love basketball too. Basketball.
The
I mean,
Nets.
I guess you could say it's number two. With yes, the Nets,
Okay.
and I do like baseball, Yankees, but I don't really follow it. But
Okay.
rugby now has gone up there in the top three in terms of sports that I really like to watch. I have apps so I can watch, the foreign games. I'll follow their Twitter, so I'll watch like so there's two kinds of rugby, sevens and 15s. And US women's team is very good at sevens.
Okay.
So I'll like keep track of their international endeavors and things like that. So yeah, I absolutely love rugby. It gave me that competitive itch in college, and again, it just gave me something to do.
Yeah. So are we talking Rangers or Devils?
I'm not a big hockey fan, but if I were to choose, I'd pick Rangers.
Thank you. Okay, I just needed to hear it
Yes,
out loud.
yes.
So okay, so so it's Canadian football. Rugby is Canadian football, American football, what is considered the
Mm,
form of rugby, but is now referred to as such. The governing body of Canadian football was known as Canadian Rugby Union in the 1967. Rugby football started in 1845 in Wickershire, England, although forms of football and the ball was carried and tossed in the Middle Ages. So rugby split into two codes when 21 clubs of the North England left
rugby
the
union.
Rugby
Yep.
Union, renamed the Rugby Football League, and overpayment players took off work to play, making the League the first code to term professional and paid players. So, yeah, there's the Rugby League and the Rugby Union. Which one do you follow?
More rugby union.
Okay, and
So
what's
that
what's
is
the
like
main
the more
difference?
traditional 15s. Uh, I mean, it's kind of hard to describe, but there's this rule called rucks where after you get hacked, it might be a little more. It's kind of hard to explain. I'll admit it. So
Okay,
it's a little more in depth, and it's kind of hard to kind of
no
explain
worries.
without showing of stuff. But rugby union is more what I'm into with 15s.
Okay,
Again, so the Olympic style is rugby sevens. That's the one that you see in Olympics. It's much more high scoring. They're much more in shape and not as big
okay.
because there's a lot more extensive running.
So, 2023 inaugural season of Super Rugby America is a professional rugby union
Uh,
competition in America.
so if you go up 2018 for the Major League Rugby, that's I would say the main U.S. rugby league.
A professional rugby competition fielding
Yes,
teams in United States and Canada.
yes, that's the one where the New York team won last year's championship.
Marked with the disqualification, a substitution
Oh
departure of
yes,
two teams, LA and Austin.
yep. They were
And
owned by an alcohol company that had some shisty stuff go down.
ooh, not good.
But that's why they have such interesting names. The Glitinis and the Gilgronis, those are two cocktails.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. All
But it was
right.
actually really cool. Glitinis, if you ever see their kits, their uniforms, it was like super bright pink, and it was actually kind of cool. And you're like, oh, big manly rugby players, but they're running around in glittery pink. It was kind
Oh
of cool.
my gosh. Okay, so football team, you said the Jets, right?
Yes,
Okay,
lifelong New York Jets
so
fan,
why the Jets and not the Giants?
because that's what my family was.
Okay, that's what I feel about the Rangers. Like, I'm not a huge sports fan, but my
Yeah,
brother loves the
I feel like with
Rangers,
most
so.
kids, that's how it is, right? You end up whatever your family roots for.
Right.
And we were Jets fans at we had season tickets for a while. And it's just something that we loved,
Right.
especially in like the late 90s, early 2000s, where they were kind of at their recent peak.
Right. Right. Now, the Jets were once a New Jersey team, right? Or is that the
I mean, well,
Giants?
they're technically Jersey. They both play in New Jersey,
Right.
but they're both called New York. But
Right.
really, it's like the New York metro area.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, I remember that we lost the Nets and we were like, well, we got the Devils. That's about it. That's the last
Yes,
sport we
which
have.
really sucked because it was so easy getting to Meadowlands from where we live,
Yeah.
and now going to see the Nets in Brooklyn, it's like it's like a full day trip. Like
Yeah,
you gotta make an event out of it because you're driving like 2.5 hours out. It's so annoying. It used to be so
absolutely.
much easier.
So, okay, so you watched football for a long time. Thanksgiving
Yes.
football was a big deal.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Of course. So Filipino style holidays are generally like you don't normally just like sit around the table and everybody. It's more buffet style. And when we were growing up, at least, it was always like the adults would eat in like the main, like the living room area, dining room area, kitchen, whatever, and all the kids would go downstairs into like the family room, and we're all hanging out there. And of course, if you're gonna have the TV there,
yeah, right,
you're gonna have football on, and of
right.
course, we would do like our pre-Thanksgiving football games, be on the yard or at the school, playing on the field, and just getting your football in before you're actually just diving into the food.
Food, yeah. So,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
so in the last Super Bowl, who did you root for?
I rooted for. I was in terms of who I wanted to win. I was kind of neutral because I really had no emotional investment in either of them.
Right?
But I had money on the Chiefs.
Good,
Not a lot, but
good.
that was really the only reason why I would root for them.
Okay. Again, something I needed to hear out loud living in Kansas City, so I just need to throw my hair back here
Right
for
on.
a
I get it. I get it.
minute. Again, I have no affiliation with them, but I live here, so I have to.
Yeah, you gotta go with the home crowd. I get
Sudden,
it.
I lived in St. Louis and I was a Cardinals fan. Now suddenly I'm a Royals fan. I don't even know how it happened.
That's it. I just why I stay away from baseball for the most part.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we've got about 15 minutes here. Let's talk
Right on.
about your dislikes. You were talking about crime
Oh,
documentaries. So what's going on with that?
I just find them like I know that's like the big craze right now, crime documentaries. But so again, I work a lot, and I feel like once we're kind of done working and everything, I like to chill out with Game's wife. And when we're kind of hanging out, chilling, like laying in bed, cuddling, watching TV, we don't want to watch about some dude killing 18,000 people and eating their guts or whatever. We kind of like the more lighthearted stuff.
Right.
So, when we're hanging out and we're just kind of enjoying our time, we're watching stuff like Ted Lasso
Okay.
or well, actually the three shows I'm going to name are actually on all Apple TV Plus, but
Okay.
Ted Lasso,
Okay.
Acapulco, and now Shrinking.
Okay.
Shrinking is so good. It's has Jason Segel and Harrison Ford.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, so good. They're like psychiatrists, which is why it's called Shrinking.
Mhm.
And we like those movies where, or not movies, but movies or TV shows
Mhm.
where it's just kind of like feel good. You have those moments where you're laughing and then a tear comes down your cheek, but because it was really nice and beautiful, not because
Right.
anything sad really happens. You get those like heartfelt moments, and you're just like, oh,
Right.
like that's what we
Right.
want. We don't want to again. I I get the merit of kind of crime documentaries and things like that, and maybe hate is too much of a strong of a word,
Yeah.
but we're just we feel like there's better things to watch if we're just gonna chill out together and watch them. Like if we're not gonna watch stuff together, I will watch stuff like say horror. Games Wife hates horror, so I'll pop on like a horror movie or a horror show if she's not around.
Right.
But if we're gonna hang out together, and again, you only get so many hours in the day with your significant other. So
Right.
why not do something where you both enjoy them? And so that's kind of why we go more towards like the comedies. Abbott Elementary is one that we love currently.
Okay. I heard that was really really
Um,
good.
yeah, yeah. There's one Not Dead Yet, which is a newer one.
Okay.
It has America Ferrara.
Okay.
No, is that no Gina Rodriguez? Sorry, wrong one.
Okay.
The one that was from Jane the Virgin.
Okay.
So that one's been pretty good too. So
What
that's kind of like our
about
deal.
what was the one? Shit. Good Place.
Oh, that was one of our all-time favorites.
Yeah, one of the best
Absolutely love
writing,
that show.
one of the best writing
Yes,
I've ever seen in my entire life.
absolutely love that show.
Yeah, yeah, hands down.
So when we go to bed, we like to have like something just kind of playing in the background on the
Hmm.
TV. And Good Place is definitely one of those shows that we'll just put on and just have it kind of run through
Hmm.
Netflix. That Grace and Frankie
Uh-huh.
is another one, and shoot, Schitt's Creek.
Schitt's Creek, yeah.
Those three
Understood.
were just super awesome shows. Again, they're not crude, they're not super heavy.
Right.
They're almost like feel good, but they touch on like all chords. Those are great shows. But yeah,
So
Good Place was absolutely amazing.
so this isn't like true crime, but like what about things like Bones and Lucifer and that sort of stuff?
Uh, Hold on one sec.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No issue. So like
Was I yeah? So
Bones.
Bones, we watch. So Game's father-in-law loves shows like NCIS,
Mm-hmm.
Chicago PD,
Yep.
Bones,
Yep.
Law and Order. And I've never really been into those kinds of shows, but it wasn't until recently that he's lives with us now. So we'll be watching TV with him. We're like, actually, these are pretty good. We're digging it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not so much Lucifer. I don't know Lucifer.
Lucifer does a mockumentary of basically crime documentary. Like he constantly says, "Oh, we're just like Bones," but it has an entire undertone of historic, like not historical, but like I don't want to say biblical because it's not anti-Semitism.
Right.
It's basically
I-
about Lucifer, like fallen angel.
right.
Like they go really deep into the lore and everything about it. It's to me, it's one of my favorites, and it ended Chef's Kiss. Like when you don't
Wasn't
get
he
those
like a
shows
club
that
or
end
something
so
like that?
well.
Or am I thinking of a different show?
Say it again.
Isn't that the one where like he owns a club or something, a
Yes.
nightclub? Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
based off a comic book.
I have no idea.
Okay, I think so.
But it's funny as shit, and
Yeah.
it's really smart, which I like. Now you are talking about how you like comic books.
Yes.
Tell me which comic books you're interested in.
So in terms of comics, it was more when I was a kid. Nowadays, with everything Marvel
Yeah.
nowadays, it's obviously that's. But in terms of growing up, it was a lot of Justice League,
Okay.
a lot of Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, uh, Justice League Europe,
Okay.
which was an offshoot of Justice League for a while in the '90s. Things like that. We were definitely more DC people. Again, it
Okay.
was based off of whatever my oldest brothers would buy, and then I would just read whatever they were done with.
Right.
But I mean, they got everything, and the X-Men, X-Force, X Factor, things like that.
Okay. So let's see: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, Green
Yes,
Lantern, Cyborg.
and I will always be a Batman fan. He was always going to be my favorite.
Always Batman.
Yes.
I really like. I don't know. I've seen some of these. I haven't seen a lot of superhero movies. I don't
Right.
watch a lot of movies. I just don't. But I really enjoyed, and I don't know if this is I think it's Marvel. Maybe is yeah, because it's Captain Marvel. I really enjoyed
Oh yeah,
her because I love that actress.
yeah. Right.
She
Brie
is
Larson.
she
Yeah.
is top notch. But then I also really liked Aquaman. Weirdly
I
enough.
see. I have not watched many of the DC movies. When it comes to the movies, I feel like Marvel kind of has the stranglehold on
Yeah.
that side.
Yep. I agree.
But the Suicide Squad, the second one, I absolutely loved.
Yeah.
Which coincidentally, obviously, James Gunn, which was, he had done the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, so it's kind of like the
Yeah.
Marvel side kind of infiltrating the DC side. But I feel like you kind of need that humor in some of those movies.
Yeah, I agree. Where does Deadpool lie?
Deadpool's cool. I didn't really read the comics, but I do like the movies. I love Ryan Reynolds.
Now, is
So
Deadpool, which side is he on, DC or
he's
Marvel?
he's Marvel. He's
Marvel.
Marvel.
But then he also plays something in DC, right? He's a superhero
He
in
did he
DC.
did the original Green Lantern movie,
Right, that's
which
it.
he absolutely hates.
Yeah.
I never saw it, but I heard it was very not well received.
Yeah. It's just
It-
weird that he's on both sides of
yeah.
it. But then again, it's Ryan friggin' Reynolds. We don't
Right,
talk
right.
about that, right,
Yeah.
Sark? Exactly.
Hey, it's kind of getting late though on this end. I was wondering if we could kind of
Yeah, yeah, sure.
wrap it in a bit. Sorry.
No, no worries. Like I said, I usually end in about 7 minutes, but we can totally wrap it
Oh,
up early
right.
if you want. If you, what I usually say is if there's something that you wanted to talk about that we didn't touch on of your list, you're more than welcome to discuss that. I am happy to end now. I think
Right
that
on. Yeah.
we've totally discussed a
It was very
numerous
cool.
amount of
It was a very cool
topics.
experience. I wasn't sure what to make of this, but this was a lot of fun.
Good.
Thank you.
I'm glad you had fun with it. That's all I wanted. So, yeah, everybody, next week we'll have Mildly Aggressive Folk, which is a music group. They're
Oh, very cool.
phenomenal. And so I'm really excited to interview them. Then we've got Defiled Entrails, Captain E-Rock, Misfit,
Oh,
Alchumutation.
when's E-Rock?
E-Rock is going to be April 19th.
Nice.
And
Love that.
then Jerfo the Music Addict will be May 24th. I know Panda's looking forward to that. And then Books, Brews, and Brews on May 31st. So
Very cool.
definitely look forward to that. Otherwise, thank you so much, everybody. I super appreciate you, Elder Gamesmen. And
Yeah.
we're going to look for somebody to raid, but feel free to go ahead and shut off your camera.
Right
and
on.
we'll go from there.
Take care again. Thank you for this. And if anybody, I stream usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, starting around 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and Saturdays if I got time.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, guys.
Get they cut. You know, it's tax season.
Yep.
Nobody just gonna give you
site.
$5.
I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so we're probably gonna go ahead and raid into Alan the Yellow-Eyed. He is phenomenal. And he is my dungeon master. So we are gonna go ahead and raid into him. Go ahead and say hi. Again, he runs my D&D campaigns. We do those at Saturday at 7 p.m. He is a variety streamer, and he is really fucking funny. I don't have a raid call. I wish I did. I have to work on that. But thank you guys again. Have a good one.